looking around and I'm seeing all this stuff. Where does it come from? How did it get here? Where's this grass got all its energy from? There's only one place, and that's up there, the sun. Look how brilliant it is. All that light energy coming down, and those cells using that energy for photosynthesis, taking up nutrients from the ground, taking in carbon dioxide from the air, and importantly drawing up lots of the water from underneath. And it's using those to make its own food, so that it can provide nutrients for the rest of the food chain. And if you look around, we've got geese and other creatures living off this energy. Okay, that's it.
So we've got this massive expanse of grass, and we've got the trees over there, this whole area taking in that energy from the sun. And if we were to look at this not as an empty expanse, but a huge gathering, a collection of living organisms, well, we've got to ask ourselves the question, as scientists, how much living stuff is there here? Now there's a few ways you could answer that. You could count every grass blade on the field, or you could do another measurement. You could actually measure how heavy is it? How much living stuff is there here? And scientists call this stuff biomass, the material of living things. So if you were to collect up every plant, every tree, every leaf, and put them on a massive set of scales, you'd have a measure of just how much living stuff this area can support. But that's just the plants. We've got birds roosting in the trees over there. We've got some geese on the field. There are lots of birds living in this environment. There are worms in the soil, and they're supported by this area as well. So if we were to collect up all of the animals and put them all in one massive lump and weigh that, we'd have another measure of the biomass that's been supported by this area. So the question is, how much would all of the plants weigh, and how would that compare to the biomass of all of the animals that are supported by the school field?
This leaf is actually quite fantastic, because what this leaf has done, it's dried out, and this is pure biomass. If we look at around today, it's quite wet, it's soggy, and all those cells are going to be full of water. But this leaf, this little leaf here, this is dried out, and this is what we call biomass. It's where we take the organism and remove all the moisture from it, and that gives us the biomass. Now, if we wanted to look at the biomass for each layer in the food chain in this ecosystem, what we'd have to do is take those animals, stick them in the oven and dry them out so that they become pure biomass, removing all the water.
Go. So with all this talking about dried biomass, it gets me thinking, looking around here, what's got more biomass? The plants or the animals? In the woods here, looking at these trees, well, these are some organisms here that are quite large, quite impressive, quite majestic. And then we've got the birds that you might just be able to hear or see flitting from branch to branch. Now, even without drying them out, just by looking, we can make a conclusion about which is going to be the heaviest, the most massive. It's clear to us all that there's going to be more biomass in the producers, the plants, those organisms you find at the bottom of the food chain. But that in itself raises a question. Here's all this biomass just surrounding us everywhere. This is the material that plants have made. They take the sun's energy and they use it to convert it into sugars, and they build that into the living biomass that makes them up. But where does that go? Why is not all of this biomass converted into animal tissue? Why don't we have enormous flocks of birds? Why don't we have a couple of thousand geese marauding around on the field? Why is it that the school field supports enormous great oak trees And so far today we've seen 2 geese, 1 egret and a sparrow. Where's the biomass gone?